All right, so let's get right into this. We're headed to Prague, a city that's absolutely gorgeous, right? But underneath all that beauty, there are some seriously dark legends. And today, we're diving into one of its most chilling, the story of a girl who they say never really left her home. I want you to picture this. You're wandering through Prague, these ancient cobblestone streets. You take a turn down this one alley, and it's so narrow the buildings feel like they're leaning in, almost touching. The air gets colder, and you realize the sun doesn't really reach the ground here. This is where it all starts.
Now, technically, this little alley has an official name, but here's the thing, nobody uses it. If you ask a local, they only know it by one name, Dead Girl Street. And the reason why, well, that's the whole terrifying point of this story. So what happened here?
So here's the legend. People who live there swear that a young girl still lives in one of those old, dark houses. They say you can see her, standing in an upstairs window, just waiting. And the creepiest part? She died in that alley over 100 years ago. Let's wind the clock all the way back to 1897. This is when we meet Alina, a young girl who lived on this street. She was quiet, kept to herself, and the neighbors always thought there was something just a little bit off about her. And this is what was so weird. Every single night, like clockwork, at exactly 2 in the morning, Alina would be there, standing at her window, staring out into the pitch-black alley. Just a silent, nightly ritual. But who or what was she waiting for? At first, this strange habit was just that, a weird thing the local girl did. But it didn't take long for those whispers and stories to grow into the beginning of a genuine mystery, one that's haunted this street ever since. Okay, so this is where the story takes a really dark turn. One night, a neighbor glances up and sees Alina in the window, but her eyes are just solid black, and there's this shadowy, not quite human shape standing behind her. The next morning, she's gone, vanished. The house is locked from the inside. Fast forward a few years, the house is being torn down, and workers find a hidden room under the floorboards. The walls are covered in these bizarre, bloody symbols, and right in the middle of the room is Alina's body. And get this, it's perfectly preserved, like she had only died moments ago. For about a century, that's where the story ended, just a spooky local tale. But let's jump to today. A tourist, a vlogger named Ria, hears about Dead Girl Street and thinks, hey, great content. So she heads down there, camera rolling, to check it out. So she's there, filming, talking to her followers. All right, guys, this place is seriously creepy. And then, all of a sudden, her camera feed just starts to freak out. It's flickering, distorting. The audio turns into this low electric hum. You know that feeling when you just know some outside energy is messing with your tech? Yeah, that. Through all the static and the glitches, her camera seems to focus on its own, drifting up toward one of the dark, empty windows of what used to be Alina's house. And there she is, the legend, in real time. A girl is standing in that window perfectly still, just watching Ria. It's her. It's Alina. Now, most people would run, right? Not Ria. She's a vlogger on a mission. She pushes open the old, creaky door and steps inside. The second she's in, the door slams shut behind her. The air turns freezing cold and fills with this awful, rotting smell. And that's when she sees it. A staircase leading down into total darkness. So she goes down into the dark into that same hidden room from the legend. It's pitch black, but she's not alone. A whisper just materializes out of the oppressive silence. A soft, ancient voice that says, "You're late." Ria freezes, her heart pounding, and asks, "Who's there?" And then, from the shadows right behind her, Alina appears. That same pale face, those terrifying black eyes, and a slow, unnatural smile spreads across her lips as she whispers, "I never left." After that moment, Ria was never seen again. She was just gone. The legend wasn't just a story anymore. It had claimed a brand new victim. The next morning, the police are called. They search the entire house, top to bottom. No Ria. The only thing they find is her camera, lying on the dusty floor of that hidden basement room. And what was on that camera? That's the part that's an absolute gut punch.
The last bit of footage is just chaos. Rhea screaming, the camera shaking wildly. But the very last frame, it's perfectly still. It shows two girls standing in the dark. One is Alina, and the other, her face a mask of pure terror, is Rhea. She's become the street's newest and most permanent resident.
So, this all leads to a really important question, doesn't it? If you ever find yourself walking down that dark, narrow alley in Prague, what are you supposed to do?
Well, the local warning, the one that's been passed down for generations, is pretty simple. If you're there at that exact time, 2 a.m., and you happen to look up and see a girl watching from a window, whatever you do, don't stare.
Because after more than a century of waiting, she's always looking for company. And it makes you wonder, was she waiting for someone specific all those years ago? Or was she just waiting for anyone? Maybe even for you.